in daily number 574, where we learn to be a better gamer. We're doing things in rapid succession today. We're going to look at two games, a medium-sized one and a short one, in part 2 between TLO and Kas. Let's do it. Pew! It's on Daybreak. This is a map where I loves the biomine. I think the biomine's stronger on this map because it has this attack path to the top, and then it has this attack path through the middle, and then it has this attack path down here. And it's really hard to manage all that spread outedness with Marine Tank, unless you have really, really careful expanding patterns. I think the best expanding pattern for Terran going Marine Tank is this is the second, and this is the third. I think it's far, far and away better. It's difficult to counterattack here because it takes so long to go around the center point, and it's very easy to just build some depots here and then rally here above your ramp, and then control the tower. That's what I think. And then you can push through mid, or you can push up along the top. It's just all grand. Oh, God, some delicious water. So Kas, I think, goes for a Mr. Smarty Pants move. And because we look up to all smarty peoples, I think it's a totally cool move. Nothing wrong with that. TLO going for his usual expansion. The general strategies du jour of HOTS involve taking a relatively quick geyser to get the speed for Zerglings up. That's a pretty critical piece to defending Reapers and Hellions and all that annoyingness. I'm not as big a fan of the 4-queen play as I was once. I also think that Zerglings are the counter to mines in the early game. They're like the best response, because it's very easy to just run 4 lings up and then they take the shot and the rest of your lings just swarm it all on up in. TLO's doing, I would say, the techie version of going 4-queen. Double geyser at around 430. Looks like he did it a little bit after. The drones that want to get into the gas immediately. Oh! So I don't mind this 4-queen play for the creep spread, but I'm still more of a fan of like what Snoot and Life and other folk do, whereas they get the speed in the 3rd queen and they sort of gradually spread the creep and then get this expansion up at like 7 to 8 instead of the more early like 5. But this is a completely acceptable alternative. The Roach Warren Speedling combo. I still like this just a pinch earlier. Just a little bit earlier. Like, if you can get it so that the roaches are popping out at like 6:20 or 6:30, I want you just to see this is the timing that most Terrans are working with. 2 Hellions pop out at 6:30. So if we have our roaches heading to your base right as your dudes are already popping up, that's going to hurt you badly in the face. The one thing that makes this have slightly more merit than the very fast roaches, well, I don't know, say slightly more merit, but a different kind of merit, is that with this Zergling speed upgrade, players who go Hellion, Hellion, Mine, Mine will have a lot harder of a time repelling this attack, because your speedlings just soak up the mine shots. Delicious water. So, alright, cool. Roaches are coming. Out they flowing. Expansion a down going. Another pretty typical way to deal with the early pressure is to have the roaches, but I like aggressive roaches. I don't like passive roaches. So okay, cool. Now, in terms of things that your opponent cannot be doing, suppose for a moment that our opponent was going for kind of a more standard... actually, I will gripe on this point. All attacks like this, they help prevent our opponent from doing certain things. That sounded useless. That was the most useless thing I've ever said. Remember this concept I said in part 1, where you need to exploit where your opponent can not be doing? Attacks like this increase the number of things he can not be doing. So here's an example. Whew. Ah. What is a really annoying build that kills a lot of Zerg players? Oh, the Blue Flame Hellion build. It's where you go Reactor Hellion, and you get another factory to begin getting Blue Flame. And then you attack with like 16 Blue Flame Hellions, and the Zerg has like 16 Zerglings, and a loss under his belt. It's a really easy way to crush players who go for Mutalisks too quickly. For an example, watch MVP versus Life GSL Finals. So good. So this Roach attack will generally outright kill, completely shut down a player who's doing this. Maybe kill is an overstatement, but it will shut it down. You'll get the chance to see a lot of things. So this helps put things on the not list. You do plays like this because you know, okay, at the end of it, I know I won't really need to worry about those Blue Flame Hellioners. Not really. I'm going to turn this up a bit. I only really need to worry about some more bio-based play. Being able to do a swing back at me. So in this position, this is great. We're applying pressure, we're getting some free kill-offs. I think Kas did a frickin' genius answer in this spot. I think this is so clever. He sees that there's roaches coming, so what does he do? He instantly gets an armory, so that way he can begin producing Hellbats out of this factory. That's a very hard to identify. Clever little transition. Doinky doink. So Kas winds up being fine. You know, I've been spending a little bit of time on TLO. I think TLO is doing some pretty expectable type maneuvers, some expectable type responses. Getting all these duders up. But right now, if we're EmpireKas, I think this is a really cool spot to be in. We say, if you were going for lings, no problem. You wouldn't be attacking me, I would see nothing, so I would get my Infernal Pre-Igniter to punish you. If I do see some roaches coming out with these two glorious Hellions, then I will just snap armory and begin going for my Hellbat upgrade. Total overkill, 4 mines to kill an Overlord. Retreat back home. You guys have done a good job. Nice. Very, very nice. This is another very good timing. 10 minutes on the engineering bay because 10 minutes is about as early as the Mutalisks can pop. But we saw some roaches, so we just start it then. And I'm just really liking the setup that Kas has. I think this is just nifty. Also, mines are fantastic against air. Really help with these transitions a lot. So if I'm Kas, I'm kind of still in the mood to throw this down here. If I'm going mech, I can always take this. I mean, if Kas takes this, it's just like, dude, I'm going to be defensive for the whole game, alright? I'm just going to be a defender. Here's a little bit more like, yeah, I'm going to get in your face and hurt you because I'm getting some Thors up. I think both are fine. I mean, you can expand here, wait a long time, and then take this as a fourth, and then crank up the aggression. Another very smart move, I think, by TLO, getting the ninja fast layer. Because, hell, I saw Hellbats. It's highly unlikely that you're going to be able to perform that attack soon. In case you are, I'm going to get Mutalisks. But even if you get the Mutalisks up, I still think there is a lot of potential that can grow out of... what am I talking about? Yeah, TLO's getting the Mutalist to hold off an attack or to put pressure back on a guy who did not move out for an attack, who instead went for the Thors. I don't have a lot of personal experience versus this sort of composition, the mass Hellbat sort of mixture, but I think TLO is playing it out smartly. Most notably, having done a lot of anti-mech in my day, playing as the Zerg, lots of bases is frickin' awesome. Like macro hatches, alright, cool, but you can do weird things like go Muta Roach. Like in massive numbers, focusing heavy on the gas, doing a lot of really annoying things like pulling out one tank and picking it off with Vipers and picking it off with Mutalisks and then rushing away again. TLO going for Greater Spire, also I think pretty acceptable. although it can be a little tricky. I mean, Broodlords are not excellent against mech. Broodlords are excellent against bio. They're fine against mech. The real counter to mech is just having way more stuff and doing constant counters and doing stuff like this, denying expansions, making things costly. This expansion from TLO, I really think should have been here, but I think still all good in the hood. Losing some bases, not the biggest deal. Counterattacking, the biggest deal in the most awesome way. Num 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 mine shots. Eating up all the mine shots. Eating them all up the doo-wop. So the fast Broodlords, I think, are only good against really aggressive attacks like this. And they're only excellent against really aggressive attacks like this, and then they're just pretty good as units otherwise. So I think this is kind of a dicey defense from TLO. Given that the Hellbats really are doing tremendous freaking damage. I like this in composition with the Mutalisk. I think Mutalisk transition into really fast Broodlords makes a lot of sense only versus this really slow mech style. Again, it's exploiting all the speed. If for some reason Kas did not go for this push, then the Broodlords are going to help secure this base, and then the Ling Muta can begin doing counters down here. And then you're around 6 base versus 3 or 4, which is pretty even. Pretty even in my eyes. And from here on out, I think you're just in the grossest position possible. If I'm in TLO's shoes, the big thing I'm going to be doing is throwing down Ultralisk and then probably replenishing with Ling Roach right now. Because if he... it's one of these either-or situations where he can't... Most useful strategic moments are because there is an or as opposed to an and. So, for instance, in this situation, he either gets a lot of Vikings and a lot of anti-air and not a lot of good anti-ground, or he gets a lot of good anti-ground stuff, but not a lot of good anti-air. He can't do both. He can't get a whole bunch of good ground stuff and a whole bunch of good anti-air stuff. He can't do it. So, because I tend to lean towards them ground units, just as a general stylistic thing, in this position, I would say, okay, great, this push from Broodlords you know is going to be quite effective, because you've just killed off a whole army from your opponent. So, if he has enough defense in the skies, or actually, if he doesn't have enough defense in the skies, he's just dead. But if he does have enough defense in the skies, then his ground army is going to greatly suffer. Like, look at the real anti-ground army we're working with. 2 tanks and a couple of Hellbats. I would want to be flooding Ling Roach right now. I think it's okay for TLO to commit slightly harder to the Broodlords here to give them an opportunity to build drones. Just go like some Corruptors and drones. I'm really not the biggest fan ever of trying to out-air an opponent if it's clear that right now you can out-ground. Like, I mean, coming back to the unit, there's 19 Hellbats out right now who will really not fare very well against aggressive Roach Linging. Hitting here, maybe hitting here, splitting up these units. I mean, there's also no tanks, so the efficiency against Roaches is pretty low. But I think that this is kind of understandable as TLO begins to break it to realize, oh, he's actually totally screwed and I can just continue to make a whole bunch of Corruptors and try to end the game. But you see, this moment right here is why I like to be replenishing on ground. Because TLO was up against that circumstance where his opponent did have a lot of anti-air. And here is some of the anti-air, but we can see the remnants. The Broodlord count tumbles down to 2. And there's a lot of Corruptors, there's 16 Corruptors. But now this force is actually somewhat of an issue to deal with. If these Mutalisks had lost their lives, say to a single Thor shot, which is completely easy to do, this attack could have just almost been enough to kill off 2 bases. For now, it's enough to just kill off 1 base, and TLO's actually suffering on this end. Some pretty cool transfuses, some pretty rad gnarly transfuses, but down a base. I feel like it was slightly closer than it needed to be. I feel like, in terms of Kas's error this game, where would I have said he, you know, went wrong? I actually, let's see here. What would I say that would be? I want to ask myself that question. Because I think up to this point, I think Kas was playing really, really, really well. 8 Muta's about to pop. Yeah, so looking around here, this is a pretty aggressive factory composition. A more passive one would be that this factory is not even here at all with this reactor. So a 4th command center can pop out a little earlier. But does he even know about this? No, he's done no scouting, which is fine. 14-minute mark. I'll speed up to. Yeah, I'm starting to feel a little bit like, well, you know, this is a pretty deadly force, especially with these tanks in here. The only thing that your opponent can really be having is Ling Mutalisk plus Roach Hydra. I think Kas is getting some good positioning up right here. You know, I would say that there's nothing wrong with throwing a scan down at around 14 minutes, because, or 13:30 or 14 minutes right into the main. Or I guess just doing some scouting. I mean, the most important scouting information you'll ever get is what you see at the front. Like, if you begin to make this attack and you see Roach Hydra here, you'll immediately know, okay, his hive is not done yet. Or it's just finishing up and he's going Viper. You'll just know that, because it's physically impossible otherwise. So in this position, this is fine, I suppose. This is perfectly done. I actually missed this. This is just magnificent, the way this worked. I almost would have... get back up there. When the Broodlords made their cameo here, I almost would have pulled back completely. Fast Broodlords, what does that entail? That my opponent probably has almost nothing left. I actually think beforehand, this simple adjustment, getting the transformation service up, so you can be like, oh crap, quickly. I'm going to hit my E button, become Hellions, and I'm going to return way the hell home. Like, everything stays here. And Kas continues to try to shove. The fact that this attack didn't destroy this expansion up at the top, I think is another error. But I mean, none of this really needed to happen. I think that all this stuff should have pulled back. I think that this is a nice move to make with a Marine Maraudering army because it can kill stuff off quickly. But in this position, like right now, I think it's pretty clear. Yeah, that in my eyes would be the day 9 moment of death where he lost. Alright, I'm gonna close the game. Is it gonna crash? Oh, he made it out to the other side without a crash. This game's real fast. Let's go through it quickly. Okay. Alright, map is Cloud Kingdom. Gonna go through it swiftly. TLO does a 6 pool. This was in a best of 5. I think this is excellent to do if you're up 2-0. This will have your opponent frittin' and fretterin' in every frickin' way. Very, very bold maneuver to send these number of drones up. But I like these little adjustments from TLO to just have 2 dudes mining. It's not enough to get an Overlord, but it is enough to add on extra Zerglings if these existing Zerglings die. I think this is... that was close. This is very smart by Kas to get this Reaper up. He knows he's not going to be up against speed. And this, I think, is one of the simplest examples of this use of the word not. There is no way my opponent can get speed. And the Reaper exploits that complete and total inability to get speed. So if I'm Kas, I think it's perfectly acceptable to just box all these SCVs and right-click here and even lift this orbital. And just get 1 or 2 Reapers out and just kite. None of these guys need to die. None of them need to die! Yeah, this is, I mean, like, this is just complete and utter murder at this point from Kas. Yeah, totally what he should have done earlier. And now TLO is just basically dead. I even think the bunker was completely unnecessary. Just, you know, run! So cool. Where is the split? Where is the other Reaper? Does he only have one? I don't know where the other Reaper went, but until this is walled off, I'm probably not going to leave with both Reapers. I'll probably leave with one. I think it's really easy to die to a counterattack. And then he kills him. A doo-wop, a doo-doo-doo. Kind of bold controlling here by Kas, but... Oops. But I think effective enough. And the Queen arrives, and I would seriously just not stop production of Reapers. I would just sit here, heal, go in there, shoot at the Queen, dish out a couple more pellets, because he's either going to have to keep making Queens, or he's going to have to get Roaches up. One of those two. Continued awesomeness. I guess the Hellions are fine. I think the Reapers are really the only tool that's needed to win in this circumstance, because they heal. And soon enough, TLO's unable to do anything at all. And they, see, Roach Warren or continued Queen production are really the only way you can deal with these dudes. I would just swap and go tank Marine straight up. When we come back, we're going to look at what I think is a beautiful, 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 beautiful game by TLO to close things out. In that game, I would say that the moment that it was lost is the moment that Kas just continued to let the Reaper build. The moment that Kas actually went for gas first. This is a map where a lot of people will just go command center first. Risk that was taken by TLO, meta risk, totally acceptable, excellent to do. Went up 2-0. When we come back, we're going to close this bad boy up with a good game. See you in 3 minutes.